Hello everyone, and welcome to another top 5 records video and another one in the series in which I'm taking a closer look at the full discography of the Beatles. Now, I've done the White Album in the last video. The next video I'll be talking about Get Back because the Glyn Johns version got mixed, and in a chronological sense I think it's interesting to take a look at Get Back before we go to Abbey Road and then take a look at Let It Be. I think that might do something interesting. So 3 years, another 3 videos about the year 1969, but the first one I'm going to be talking about for the Beatles in 1969 is this one, Yellow Submarine. Now, Yellow Submarine is an interesting story because the Beatles were not happy anymore with doing motion pictures and motion picture soundtracks after Help, the recording of and the filming of Help. So what did they decide to do? They had a contractual element to do, I believe, 3 soundtracks. So they said, okay, you know what? For the final one, make it an animated film, so we're less involved. We just do the voices and we do the music. But still, they were not very happy and satisfied to do this album and film. So the thing with this album is, it's not a compilation album, although the title track Yellow Submarine was initially released, of course, on single in 1966 and on the Revolver album. There are 4 unique songs by the Beatles here, some which were leftovers from other sessions, some really recorded for this album. Then you have number 6, which is All You Need Is Love, which we already know from the Magical Mystery Tour. And then there is side 2 by George Martin, original film score composed and orchestrated by George Martin, which is, is this really a Beatles record? Well, it is. It's sold as a Beatles record. It's part of their contract, and it says the Beatles, and it has original Beatles material. So I really should take a look at it in the full discography series. Also, I'm thinking of expanding it and going forward on from Let It Be and take a look at some live records, some rarities records, some compilations. There is a lot to talk about in the world of the Beatles, and I think I'd like to continue. And I think it's also interesting to continue with the records which are not the typical studio albums, so we can find out which ones of these compilations are worthwhile. Nevertheless, this is somewhat an original studio album, or at least a soundtrack. Yeah. It starts off with Yellow Submarine, heard that one before. Then Only a Northern Song. I believe that was left out of the Sgt. Pepper sessions. I can imagine it being left out. It's not George Harrison's best writing. It's not a bad song either. They don't really sound inspired. Is it bad? No. Is it fun to hear? Yeah, because it's even the Beatles, when they're not involved, they can sound kind of it's something special. Then All Together Now, which I actually really enjoy. Paul McCartney did a nice job. He said it was a throwaway song. I think that's being unkind. Yet, perhaps he's right, but even the Beatles can manage to make something out of a throwaway song. For example, Good Morning was a song about which John Lennon said, it wasn't nothing special. But the way they make it sound, it's interesting. I like All Together Now. Then you have Hey Bulldog, It's All Too Much. These songs are okayish. Then we ended out with All You Need Is Love, which is, I already have that one on the Magical Mystery Tour. And then side 2. Yeah, what to say about side 2? First of all, George Martin is obviously a smart, musically gifted man. But we're switching over to a soundtrack, and a weird one at that. I mean, it starts off with much more of a classical, interesting score, and you think, this might be interesting for an animation film. Then there's some weird LSD shit in which I can somewhat hear elements of, what's the song called again? Within You, Without You. But it's just bizarre, and it's not what I'm in for. I mean, you start off with songs, and the second half is film score, and You know, I really I like Yellow Submarine. As a matter of fact, when I wake up, the first thing I see in the morning is this Yellow Submarine in Lego. And oh, I might have shown that, but you know, I like it. I like Yellow Submarine. I like the film. I just really don't like this album a lot. It's not a coherent effort. Not at all. And the things that are interesting, the unique songs, are not always inspired. So I never play this one, and I just played it for the series, and this to me is a clear downer in the work of the Beatles. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.